All right, good Monday morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend out there celebrating it safely. We did start the year 2023 on Sunday. It was a very warm day for us. We actually had a record warm minimum here in Amarillo of 47 degrees. Broke the old record of 46, and we had a high temperature yesterday of 71 degrees. It was 20 degrees above normal on Sunday. Felt more like April or May rather than January 1st. But again, since we've moved into the new year, we can now look back on 2022 in its entirety. We do see that it was a very warm year for us. I'm going to move myself out of the way just so y'all can see kind of some of the text on this graphic. But we did have a very warm summer last year, and that unfortunately set us up with the 14th warmest year on record for the Yellow City. Had our fourth warmest July on record. We did have a couple of colder months in there. February ranking at 104th out of 131 years, and the 99th for November. Even though we had the Arctic blast there in December, though, unfortunately, it still ended up being number 29 out of 131. So hopefully, I think it's a safe bet to say our next summer won't be quite that bad as it was in 2022. And it does look like we'll probably eventually move out of La Nina by the summer anyway, and that should help as well. This morning, we are dealing with a lot of cloud cover out there, really kind of holding those temperatures where they're at. Notice again, we've got some rain showers trying to move through the area as well. Most of that just east of Amarillo. Not actually getting down to the ground. We are seeing some sporadic showers, though, the further northeast that you get. You can see that there on Viper radar. It looks like probably just north of Perryton and west of Beaver. You guys could be seeing some light precipitation hit the surface, but the rest of us are pretty quiet this morning. I'm going to jump back and show you again the overall synoptic look. We've got that cutoff low right now spinning just over southwest Colorado, and it's bringing in all that wraparound moisture. It's negatively tilted, so it means it's going to wrap in a lot of that moisture. And that's why we do have that chance for some rainfall today. And you can see kind of where that wave is currently located with all the rain and snow back over southern New Mexico. That's going to translate east-northeast, and that's going to make its way into the Texas Panhandle later today. And that's the one that we'll have to keep our eye out for, I think, for any measurable rainfall across the area. So good news. Rain's on the way. Bad news, probably not much, so it won't go very far. Here's your temperatures right now, 34 in Dumas, 47 here in Amarillo. Winds for the moment are light, under 15 miles per hour, but that will change as we move into the afternoon. That's another big story for today. Wind advisories out across a good chunk of the area starting at 11 a.m. Rain chances anywhere from 20 to about 40% for most of us. I'm going to sit at about a 20 to 30% chance here in Amarillo. We may see some light mist and stuff. We have high confidence in that, but there's kind of some uncertainty as to whether or not it'll actually accumulate and become measurable rainfall, but it may help keep things just kind of damp today. So even though we were windy today, we don't have any true fire weather concerns. So that is some silver lining in this wind advisory. Again, that's in effect from 11 to 6 today. Winds could gust up to 50 or 55 miles per hour from the southwest. Not quite as bad as it was last Wednesday, but still very windy even for our standards, especially from Amarillo and Canyon southwest down Highway 60, Tucumcari, Portales, Clovis, all going to gust up to about 50 miles per hour this afternoon. Temporarily, we'll still be warmer than normal. We climb up into the lower 60s this afternoon for some of the area, higher 50s for the rest. That second wave, again, the one that we'll have to watch out for, will come through this afternoon. Starting at around noon, we'll have some isolated to maybe slightly scattered showers moving out of New Mexico and into the southwest, Texas Panhandle, and then those translate north and east fairly quickly. By 4 o'clock, that'll probably be the end of our window for any rain chances in Amarillo, but if you're up towards Miami, Canadian, places like Pampa, Slapout, Perryton, you guys could see a little bit of light rain late this evening around the drive home, and then we end up with that front easing south as we go into tomorrow morning. Now, that front will bring in some more seasonable weather for us on Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs probably would be considered chilly for you, and just in terms of being outside, but this really is going to be kind of average weather for us coming through on Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs will be in the 40s and the 50s. James, weather in Lubbock is going to be a little on the windy and dry side as we go through the day today, but you guys are cloudy down there Just expect it to be pretty windy today. Your future rain outlook, not very good. Again, we expect at least some mist and drizzle to get to the surface. Whether or not it actually accumulates, kind of an unknown. I think if we do see any rain, it'll be less than 1/10 of an inch. If you see 1/10 of an inch of rain, you're probably the lucky one out of all of us today. Here's your 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. I want to show you guys this first, and then I want to talk about some of our teleconnections for later in the month. We do have some warmer than normal weather predominantly from now through the middle of the month. The Climate Prediction Center does give us a chance at some moisture next weekend into early next week. Now, I kind of think that this is a little off in terms of its placement. It does look like a bulk of our models are kind of highlighting the DFW Metroplex and Central Texas for some better moisture chances than us, but I wouldn't rule out maybe some light rain in that time frame here in the High Plains region or the Texas Panhandle. But the further southeast you go, and again, that's kind of relative, further southeast, meaning probably a few 100 miles, the better your chances are going to be at seeing some moisture. As we go into the 9th through the 15th, warm weather starts to erode, and we kind of see this setup to where we may see some slightly below average temperatures make their way back into the forecast after the 15th of January. The Climate Prediction Center does kind of smother the whole area, broad brushing just above average moisture chances between the 9th and the 15th. That being said, I think overall we're going to be pretty quiet going through the next at least 7 days here in the Panhandles region for some moisture. Now, these are our teleconnections. These, again, aren't exact science. These are based off of things that happen, like your Arctic oscillation up over the polar region. We've been taking observations like this for decades and decades, and we're kind of to this point now where when we see one thing happen, we can kind of allude that something may happen further down the line. Again, it's take it with a grain of salt. It's more of a generalized consensus of what to expect rather than exact details. But this is the Arctic oscillation. Right now, it's pretty neutral. So you read left to right through time. So this is the second today, and as you get further out on the far right-hand side, that's actually the 17th of January. There on the far right-hand side. But notice how it dips below this dark black line. That is a negative oscillation. That tends to spill in some colder than average temperatures. It's usually delayed. It's not as big of a dip as what we saw in December. That was like a -3 in terms of its standard deviation. This is just -2, which is still pretty significant. But that does kind of indicate maybe some below normal, at least below normal temperatures could be on their way, at least compared to where we are right now. Looking at your EPO, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, right now very positive, which is why we are warmer than normal. That trend's negative around the same time as well, around the 5th. So by Thursday or Friday of this week, we may see that become more neutral. And then the NAO also expected to trend negative for a short period of time around the 6th or the 7th. So all three of these may work in tandem. Usually we get about a 10 to 15 day delay to see the effects of this at the surface. Now the exact location can range anywhere from right along the front range of the Rockies to as far east as the Appalachian Mountains or the Appalachian Mountains. So that's a very large area. The exact magnitude of the cold air and how far south it gets is very unknown, but it does look like we may start to see the signs that maybe some cold air spilling through the plains, and a lot of the times it spills south pretty quickly just because we do slope down to the Gulf of Mexico. So wouldn't be surprised if there is some colder weather on the way between the 15th and the 20th, but the exact magnitude of that cold air a very unknown at this point in time. So here's your 7-day forecast. We're going to make it to about 60 degrees here in Amarillo. Rain chance around 20 to 30%. Tuesday and Wednesday will be more seasonal. Moving into the end of the week, though, that cold air erodes very quickly. We'll be back up to above normal on Thursday. Winds will start to pick up that evening, and then we are looking at a very windy and a very warm Friday for us. Some models say we actually could get back into the 70s for the southeast, or rather the southeast and southwest Texas Panhandle, where we'll end up seeing winds probably sustained around 30 miles per hour, gusting a little higher than that. So that may be a day to keep an eye on for some fire weather potential if we don't see any moisture chances with it, which seems to be the most likely outcome right now. That's all I got for you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day today. Have a happy new year. Again, make sure that you stick to those resolutions that you may have already set up for yourself. Again, don't take 30 days and then just kind of wash them out and they go by the wayside. Make sure that you're sticking to them. I will see you guys in a few hours for our next weather update. James, Tina, and Janella, thanks for tuning in this morning.